I'm ready. I'm ready to discuss the topic of the day today. And that topic is civil unions, finally. Oh my god. We've went through such a long road. She never did her own thing. So I guess you're the queen until I get into the streaming game. True. True. And then I'll be dethroned into being a princess. So, I guess we're going to be talking about civil unions, same sex civil unions, although apparently heterosexual couples can also take advantage of this new development. So we went from the Polish president, the current Polish president, campaigning on the slogan of the LGBT are not people, they are an ideology. And finally, after so many trials and tribulations, a whole change of government, we are seeing a draft of a bill that will allow same sex civil unions. We're going to be looking at an article in a moment. I'm going to be showing it to you. We're going to read it. We're going to comment on it. We're going to sort of kind of celebrate because there are, of course, minuses to this. There are things that are clear negatives to this, but we will also, well, we'll take our wins where we can, right? We'll just um, celebrate what we can and criticize what must be criticized. Laptop. The Polish government has published two draft bills to legalize same-sex civil unions in Poland. So two draft bills. Of course, we're gonna get into that. Don't worry. We're gonna get into it as we go. If passed into law, the bills unveiled on Friday would allow both same-sex and opposite-sex couples to form legally recognized civil partnerships. So it's like a brand new form of being together officially, I guess, at least in Poland. Poland's Minister for Equality, Katarzyna Kotula, said in a social media post, "It's official! The draft laws on registered partnerships, which were discussed with non-governmental organizations, have been sent for public and ministerial consultations." So it's already out there. We've done it, sort of, kind of. It still has a road to go through to actually become, uh, you know, go into uh, legal practice. This is a very important day for me because I am handing over to you the result of many months of work from our entire team, she added. Civil partnerships would, among other things, allow couples to have joint ownership of property and shared assets, which is, in that regard at least, this is very similar to same sex marriage. But of course, there are differences. The bill does not, however, allow for a member of a same sex couple to legally adopt the child of their partner, with Kotula saying that compromises had to be made during the drafting process. And this is where my criticism starts, right? I know that compromise has to be made in Poland because Poland is, at the end of the day, still a pretty anti LGBT country. Although some polls that are quoted in this article paint a pretty positive picture when it comes to that. I'm pretty surprised. But the fact that the bill does not allow for a member of the same sex couple to legally adopt a child of their partner, let's go through a pretty negative scenario. Let's say that there's a civil union. Let's say that the two people are living together in an apartment. One of them has a child, which means the other person cannot adopt a child. And the partner who is the legal guardian, the parent, dies and there are no living relatives. What then? Even though there is a perfectly viable parent to take over they would not be able to, because in a civil union, the partner cannot adopt the partner's child. So I guess even though there would be a potential parent there, the child would have to go into the foster system, which makes absolutely no sense, right? Like I think we can pretty quickly see mm, the glaring flaw of this sort of, you know, solution, or rather of this sort of limitation to civil partnerships, right? We can see how it can become pretty bad should the worst case scenario happen. Instead, the draft legalization says that a person in a civil partnership is entitled to participate in the ongoing care of a child residing together with them who remains under the parental authority of the other person in the partnership, unless either of the parents exercising parental authority over the child objects to this. Which also screws this over, because if one of the people in the civil union has an ex partner who objects to this, then the civil union partner cannot take care of the child. So already we're seeing some pretty big um, family building limitations when it comes to the scope of this bill, or rather the scope of what a um, civil union allows you to do when it comes to raising children together. In her social media post, Kotua also said, "We are continuing a legislative process that has not yet taken place in Poland, and that we hope will result in the introduction of a new institution into Polish law, which is the um, civil union." And that is a pretty cool thing, I would say. The civil union. It's it's definitely a step in the good direction, considering that we've not so long ago had whole cities that were LGBT ideology quote unquote free. So even if it's not yet marriage, even if it does not allow the other partner to adopt, it is still a move in the right direction. Polish government makes same mistakes all central governments elected on a wave of anger with conservatives governments do. They're trying to play both progressive and conservative, pissing off those who voted for them while not winning more conservative votes in return. True. I agree with this. But it's still, considering the state of affairs in Poland when it comes to the LGBT, I would say that this is, at the end of the day, still a move in the right direction. That this would never happen under the Law and Justice administration. So, this is a new chapter in the long march for equality, which, thanks to many years of work by LGBT organizations and civil society, has led us to this historic moment, Kotula added. The draft bills would still need to be approved via vote in Poland's parliament and signed by Polish President Andrzej Duda before becoming law, which already also presents a potential obstacle, because Andrzej Duda might just veto it or whatever, send it to the constitutional tribunal that would, I don't know, declare that the civil unions between same sex partners is like unconstitutional. Because let's remember that President Andrzej Duda is, at the end of the day, a law and justice president, and his whole presidential campaign was won on a slogan of the LGBT are not people, they are an ideology. So I have a already I'm worried when it comes to what will happen to this bill if President Andrzej Duda has to sign it. If there's gonna be any I mean, if he's gonna try to at least delay it. I assume he would, but we'll see. Everything's still in the future, but we'll see if Duda will get in the way of this bill. A survey carried out by pollster Ipsos in June found that 2/3 of Poles believe that same-sex couples should have the opportunity to marry or legalize their relationships in another way, a new survey has found. This one actually surprises me. 2/3 of Poles believe that same-sex couples should have the opportunity to marry or legalize. I actually thought that Polish people were much more homophobic, but it seems like Poland is actually moving in a far more progressive direction than I've expected. Duda was the unintentional ally for once, though. His first veto was a terrible law about gender change from current government that ruled in 2014. I mean, So this survey actually positively surprised me. According to the LGBT plus Pride 2024 survey by pollster Ipsos, legalization is supported by 67% of Polish respondents. I wonder how big the sample was. Of these, 39% supported the idea of same-sex marriages, while 28% supported legalization in other forms. Even with this breakdown, this still surprises me positively quite a lot, because it means that the LGBT is actually gaining acceptance in Poland bit by bit. Like, I would not accept, or rather I would not expect I would not expect such an outcome even just a few years ago, to be quite honest with you. I would expect a lot more people to be against. I know that a lot of people, last time I checked, were very much against the adoption option. The survey also found that 41% of Poles now support the right of same-sex couples to adopt children. That is pretty big. An increase of 8 percentage points compared to a similar survey from 2021. So again, this is a huge, in my opinion, move towards the acceptance of the LGBT. I remember a time not so long ago when Trzaskowski was running for president alongside Duda, when he was asked about about adoption of same-sex couples, he said that it's not even a topic that would be on the table for discussion. But now it feels like the climate inside the country is just the whole thing's changing. I feel like if a presidential candidate that's more left-leaning would be running now, they possibly might even be able to have this on the agenda. It's one of the promises, since the acceptance for it's growing. Like in 2023, before at the start of 2023, I remember saying in a conversation with a streamer that it's impossible to even discuss marriage and not to mention adoption, but now it's grown 8 percentage points. So this is just this all across the board a pretty big development. Who knows? Maybe with time, a road will open for a full-blown gay marriage. Who knows? And then the sky's the limit. Maybe we'll even get some trans rights. Full woke.